Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Attorney General, as I mentioned in my opening statement, there are voices on Capitol Hill calling for capping fiscal year 2024 spending levels at the fiscal year 2022 level, essentially a 22% cut below the enacted level last year. We sent a letter to your department asking for what that would mean for what you're up to in the department, and we got a letter dated March 18 back from your department, which I would ask unanimous consent to enter that letter into the record, Mr. Chairman. And you responded, and I want to say I'm concerned by some of the impacts highlighted in the letter, picking up on the train of thought Chairman Rogers was working on. I'm looking at cuts to the Comprehensive Opioid Stimulant and Substance Use Program would see a reduction of $40.7 million. The drug treatment courts would see a reduction of $19.4 million. The victims, let's see. In fact, 22% reduction overall would mean a lot of things, starting with the war on opioids, but extending to so many other things. And I want to ask, what are some of your biggest concerns as relates to 22% cut in what you got last year?
Well, to start off with the questions that the chairman asked me, it would be devastating for our efforts to combat drug trafficking. Totally devastating. It would lead to a $620 million reduction in base resources for the DEA. It would lead to a 28% reduction of the workforces in a single year of the U.S. Attorney's offices. These are the offices that bring the drug prosecutions and the violent crime prosecutions. It would lead to a loss of 11,000 positions at the FBI. At the Marshal Service, it would lead to our inability to replace 221 Deputy U.S. Marshals who are responsible, in addition to judicial protection, to fugitive task forces to find the people who we have arrest warrants on. And it would lead to enormous cuts in our COPS office and in our burn JAG grants. The consequence would be truly devastating to our efforts to fight violent crime and to our efforts to fight the drug traffickers.
Well, you mentioned COPS hiring program and the burn justice assistance grants. If those get cut by 22%, who gets hurt, Attorney General?
Well, those people who are hurt are the state and local. Well, there's a direct and indirect. The direct effect is we're not able to give the money to the state and local police departments. The ultimate effect is the communities that are plagued by fentanyl, the communities that are plagued by violent crime, because this money goes to state and local law enforcement for their own work against violent crime and drug trafficking, and to their work with us in task forces to attack both of those.
Sure, the COPS hiring program is federal assistance so that local municipalities that are strapped for cash to begin with right now can take federal money and use that toward the hiring of additional police officers. Is that correct?
That's right.
Well, if we were to absorb a cut of 22% to that program, how long would it take those local municipalities to recover from such a cut?
And we're estimating 300 to 400 fewer law enforcement funded positions as a consequence of a reduction of $50 million just in the comp hiring program. In the burn JAG, the awards to local governments would be reduced by an average of $30,000. State awards $1 million per state. I can't estimate how long it would take for them to recover from that, but they may never be able to recover from that. That requires state funding to make up for that. And whether the states are capable of providing that funds, I don't know. I assume that they're not, otherwise they wouldn't be relying on federal funds.
Well, you know, the chairman mentioned an increase in crime in this country over the last year. And of course, a lot of that has to do with the end of the pandemic and people being out and about more. But the truth is, it doesn't matter. If there's an increase in crime, no matter what the reason, we need to fight it. And the question is our ability to fight crime going to be increased or decreased if we have a decrease of 22% in your budget?
We drastically decreased.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, I yield back.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm listened with interest to the comments of the gentleman from Pennsylvania. I'm